There we go. Hello. Audio's working. Fantastic. Shirt's doing the thing where it's making me fat. What's going on, kitty? Did you see a snake or something? The snake get out of its little enclosure and it scare you? You're such a weirdo. All right. That's what I'm saying, man. Want to get up here? Say it for the family. Come on. Get up here. Get up here. Don't eat my headphone cable. Come on, man. Get up here. All right, just leave then. That's fine. It's whatever. It's not my decision. That's all on you. Okay, so happy Saturday. Today I'm going to be trying to see what types of setups I can make using the gear that I have on the table, because I'd really like to have something where I can, there you go, buddy. Purr into the microphone. That's a good boy. Okay. I'd really like to, my goal is to make something that's going to be a little different. I'll say a little different to what I've done, what I've done was really kind of focused on improvised jams, and now I kind of want to try to see what I can make with sort of pre-planned out sets. And so I'm just going to talk for a minute or two. Hopefully not more than a minute or two of just talking before I go into actually trying out setups here. But I'm just going to talk for a minute or two about kind of what puts me in this situation. Kind of what my goals are. Because I think that this is a thing that I'm turning this into a little bit of an additional companion piece to my sort of building live setups series, because I kind of want to talk a little bit about what's important in that. And since I don't have the time or energy, frankly, I've been having some chronic exhaustion issues, so I don't really have the time or the energy between my job and sitting in bed. I mean, I'm very tired right now. And it's almost 3 p.m. It's proof. So kind of what's really important is figuring out why you're doing what you're doing and how you want to figure out what you want to do with the setup, because it's not like with a computer, where a computer you can just kind of figure things out as you go along. You really have to go in on the front end and really intentionally sit and say, okay, this is why I want to do what I'm doing. And then from there, you start kind of piecing your pieces of gear together and go, okay, this is how I'm going to do what I'm doing. And then from that point, you're generally able to kind of fill things out. So right now, I kind of like to open this up for a little bit of discussion. And definitely, if anybody has any ideas or anything like that, I'd love to chat about it. My goal right now is to have something that I can sort of program songs into, like songs, not just improvised building sets. I think that I've done enough that I know how to improvise with basically any type of setup that I have. I know my gear well enough to do that. And now I'm kind of trying to move in the other direction where I really want to try to build something in the origin, in like kind of like tailored to one specific thing. So let me talk through kind of what I'm thinking of using and how I'm thinking of using it. So the first thing is, as always, the Octatrack. It's just become my music making device. Like it just like, I don't make music for real. Like I don't like I'll play around with different things, but like if I'm making music, I just know this so well at this point. Even though I'm still learning things, I know what I want to do with it so well. So the Octatrack's gonna be the kingpin here. This is kind of where I'm wanting to set things up. I'm probably want to have this doing most MIDI controlled if I'm sending bass lines anywhere. But that's another thing, is I want kind of the flexibility to be able to play things in manually, but then also go to pre-recorded things. I think I'm going to have to give up a little bit on the opportunity to like sequence MIDI sequences on the fly. But in order to go about that, I think I'll just loop what I play in. So that's kind of that thought there. So I think that this will be kind of the core. I'm thinking what I'm going to have set up right now. I think I'm not going to use the master track. Instead, I think I'm going to use just a compressor on the end just to tighten things up, like an external compressor unit. Then I'm going to have 2 tracks here, which are like open tracks that are going to be, actually, they'll probably be 3 and 4, that are going to be open tracks for either rhythmic loops or samples or whatever, like, you know, whatever needs to happen that can't be done with these other pieces of gear I have. Octatrack things, you know, chopping loops, chopping breaks, that sort of thing that I can do really comfortably in the Octatrack. That's going to be tracks 3 and 4. Tracks 5 through 8, I think I'm going to have them all be through tracks. So I'm going to have, tentatively, we'll see, I think I'm going to have vocals. I'm going to have a vocal chain running through here. I think I'm going to run pads. No, sorry. I need to figure out. I'm super big about like making sure things end up in the right order, but I want to have something that's going to be vocals. I'm going to have a vocal chain running in. I'm going to have the SH01A, which I'm probably going to be using for pads, probably going to be using as a polysynth. I'm going to have a channel for the modular, which is going to be either bass lines or percussion. Debatable which one, just kind of depending on the situation. And then track 8, I'm going to have the Syntact for supportive drums. So like I'm going to kind of have this for like, basically, like I'm gonna kind of like what I'm thinking is, because I've kind of learned something about building analog drums, is I'm not great at it, so it's kind of hard for me to like sit down and like create something that sounds really exciting out of like analog drums here. But what's great about it is it can work really well in the context of like, let's say I have that sort of like a kick, maybe a sample kick, or maybe not. Maybe you'll do the kick on this here, but to have some really like intense, weird, glitchy, sampled, chopped up break or whatever. Have that in the Octatrack. I think track 1's. Yeah. Have something like that happening, you know? And then bring in the Syntact to augment that, and like, so I can have like kind of my core like 4-bar loop really getting like dirty and crunchy, and I can do a lot with it, but then I can sort of start changing the groove on the Syntact. I think that's like where these two are really going to play nice to each other. It's not a setup I've tried before, so I'm really excited to try it out. I also might. This is going to be the thing where it's like I really have to think through, because I also only have limited MIDI cables right now. I'll buy more if I need to, but I might want to attach a keyboard to this and like play bass lines on it, potentially. But that's the thing, is like, am I going to want to use like some of the melodic engines on here, or am I going to want to do mostly percussion here and rhythms and textures, and then do a lot of my other stuff on the modular? Or do I want to maybe feed some of the Syntakt into the modular and like use the Morphogene, boost up the level, and then like record snippets and see what happens there? So I don't know. There's a lot of different. That's kind of why this is I decided to do this as a stream and less as a video, because if I tried to do this as a video just with my energy and like, having trouble focusing on things, I just wouldn't finish this, because I would get so scatterbrained, and this is such a brainstorming session. So I felt like it would go really well as a stream. So that's kind of my idea right now for how I want things to go, is to have the core, probably pads. I probably won't do bass lines here. I'll probably do pads here because it's the only thing I have that can do poly stuff right now. Probably percussion, maybe bass, probably melodic stuff, maybe percussion. I mean, I have the BIA and a mixer in there, so it might do both. And then a vocal thing, because really what I would love to do is like write some songs with vocals, which is a pain for me, but also like throw in some covers, like do some Radiohead or Tom York stuff. But then like as I'm doing it, I turn on a looper on my voice, and then suddenly things start getting chopped up, things start getting screwed, things start getting kind of funky there. So, that's kind of where I'm going with all of this. So, yeah, let's actually get into building this. I'm going to start on the Octatrack. I'm going to kind of set up my tracks as I think that they should go, and then I'll start kind of plugging things in, seeing how things work. I'm going to start running MIDI. And yeah, so hey, how's it going? It's good to see you. It's been a minute there. Been a minute since I streamed. Yeah, I mean, nothing's connected right now, but I think this is the core of what I'm going to use. So let's start here. So let's take out these inputs, and then I know I'm gonna use this for end of chain processing. I don't have the power supply out with it right now, but we'll do that. Okay, so let's do the most fun part of having an Octatrack, which is God. Okay. The stream is like very impromptu because I'm like not like I'm building things right now. But let's do the most fun part of the Octatrack, which is not the most fun part of the Octatrack, which is kind of building your project out. So let's do project change, new project, and let's call it EXP for experimental, EXP LIVE. Yes. So, all right. So as I said, I'm not going to use track 8 as the master. I'm set up with 8 static tracks. So I guess my first thing I'm going to want to figure out is which tracks do I want to be my flex tracks and which tracks do I want to be my sample tracks. For reaching, I'm super like big on like organization, and like that's one of the biggest problems I have with the Syntakt is that I can't change which tracks are the analog tracks. Like I'm fine with being limited to 4 analog tracks, but I'd love to be able to take like track 9 and just move it to track 1. because I always like to have my kick on track 1. And so like if I'm having to remember, oh, I have a digital kick on 1 and then an analog kick on 9, I'm going to keep on accidentally muting 1 when I come over to here or when I'm trying to mute something. So I like having my kicks on 1 on like these small boxes, and so that's just like a minor nitpick. Like I just don't know why I can't use any of these for any machine. I have to use an analog machine on these 4, and I have to use that cymbal machine on 12. Like I would love to have 1 and 2 be analog kick, analog rhythm machine, but I mean it's fine. It's not like too hard on the functionality. But so what I'm thinking though is I think I'm going to build from bottom up here. I'm going to do things a little bit differently, where I'm going to have these things, because I'm going to use them less. I'm going to have slot 1 be a flex track. So we're going to set that up. I'm going to have slots 1 and 2 be flex tracks with slicing, essentially. So essentially what these are going to be is these are going to be like recorded buffers. So whatever comes into the machine is going to get recorded there, and it's going to get played back through there. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now is I'm setting up my, let's do my ins as, my sources are going to be, I'll make them 32 lengths. Let's do my source as track, because I'm going to have to do these sources by tracks. Yeah, it's like, it's so important to like, just like for me to like I'm just so picky about it, but I'm like, I have to, it has to be this thing. Let's make vocals and whatever else I'm going to loop, which might be the modular, I'm not sure, but I'm going to make that 5 and 6. So that means my inputs here are going to be, my sources are going to be 5 and 6 respectively. So, and then what I'll do is I will just set my triggers there. They're silent triggers. So one of the great things with the Octatrack is that means that like right now they like won't record until I press function yes, or if I press function the track that it's on or something, or sorry, not, I think it's yes and the track that I'm selecting or something like that. It arms that track, and then when it comes around, that's when the trigger is recorded, which is super useful. I need to set that record length to something usable on both of them. All right, so they are tied to 5 and 6, and that will be good for my brain because I can just read it across. 3 and 4, we're going to keep as static tracks, so that's going to be fine. All right, let's start building in my setup. So track 5 is going to be a through track. We are going to have that go correlate to input A. Now this is another thing that like I don't love, is that I'm going to have to be doing 4 mono instead of 2 stereo, but I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it because like as much as like I love working in stereo, I can just pan these tracks in post if I need to, or like within the Octatrack, and you know, just kind of figure things out there. So let's do input A for track 6. Sorry, for track 5. Let's do input B for track 6. Always boost the volume out there. Input C for track 7. And input D for track 8. Yes. Oh, and I got to go through and put start triggers on these, or it's gonna ruin my life later because I'm gonna forget that I didn't do it, and then I'm gonna wonder why nothing's happening. So cool. So all of these things are gonna trigger in now. So let me just test and make sure they work. So let's say track, as I said, track 5 is probably gonna be where I'm gonna put a vocal mic in. Let's take one of these things. Let's take the output from the Roland for now, just because I know it'll be easy for me to, I'm just gonna test, make sure that everything works the way I want it to work. So this turned on. Let's go to poly mode. Cool. Okay, that's one. Let's see if it also loops the way I want it to. So let's do track 1, yes. I should get something coming out of this. Oh, duh, I need to set a trig. Cool. That's good. Track B. Just want to make sure that's set up as well. Let's try that again. Let's actually make sure the track's not muted. Oh, duh, I have that on. Super. Cool. Nice. Now I just need to make sure that these other ones are like just coming through. Cool. All good. Right now, what I do with it, so what I like to do here, let me show you actually how I usually use the O1A and kind of how I'm trying to figure out how to use what I do with that in this setup. So let's do MIDI out. Let's make sure my MIDI is sending. Transfer clock program change. Cool. So let me mute those. Oh, duh, I muted MIDI channels for a second. I was like, why isn't that stopping? And I was like, I'm on the wrong page, that's why. So, what I'll do is I will, what am I sending this to? What's my MIDI channel? MIDI channel is 1. Okay, cool. So what I'll do with this a lot, because I can get 4-note polyphony out of it, and I can do 4-note sequencing on the Octatrack. So let's just say sorry, I accidentally turned on a preset, so like everything's a little funky. Because of the way that the Octatrack has its MIDI sequencer, each track can control up to 4 notes, so I can choose on random notes. So that's just already something that's really fun. You go into the back end, you start throwing effects on it, and it's very quick, you know? Like, I know a lot of people don't see the Octatrack like as like a melodic box as much as they see it like a creative box where there's a lot of like different things, but I can write like that. I can write like that really easy. The issue that I have, I feel like I probably need to change the MIDI channel. That's first. I'm going to change that MIDI channel to 16 because I know that it's going to send MIDI channels through here, because that's just kind of how this is going to work here. I might have enough MIDI cables actually. So let's do MIDI out of here. So Octatrack is going to be sending master clock That's where my problem's going to be. That's where my problem's going to be. We'll get to it later. I'll explain where my problem is later. But let's do... You know, I just realized I was about to plug this in and be like, let's see if this all syncs up. I don't have my power strip out for the... Syntact. So let me grab that. I know it's over here somewhere. Around here somewhere. Where you at, Sophie? Oh, did I put it in there? Shit. Oh, I hate this. Where the fuck did I put that? Oh, God. I recently, re-cleaned my office. And by re-cleaned, I mean, half the area behind me is messy. No, I'm routing something in. Right now, my routing is going... Everything's going to go into the OT. MIDI's going to go out of OT into the O1A. Out of the O1A into the Syntact, out of the Syntact into the modular MIDI thing. And I might just use the MIDI clock on the modular because I don't think I'm going to be able to set up multiple voices as easily as I would like. I swore I put those power supplies in an easy to remember place. This is not ideal. I'm going to jump onto the desk. Let's see. It's not under the desk. I do have 2 stereo pairs in the Octatrack, but I'm gonna try to do 4 different things. So I'm gonna try to do vocals, O1A, modular Syntact, ideally, which is a lot, but I have plans. I got ideas. If I can find my goddamn power supplies. Oh shit, they're in the other room, I'm sure. They're in the backpack. They were in the backpack. Okay, cool. There it is. Okay. Power in. Cable over. Okay. Let's turn the Syntact on and let's start seeing if things are going to start playing nice with each other. Or not. While I'm up, do I need any other cables, actually? I'm up. I'm sitting now. Yeah, so... Oh, shit. I don't even know. I've got a lot more in the case now. Give me a second. Let me find my cables. Because I know I had a spare one. Isn't my job of cleaning my office go so well where I lost everything? This is not the cable I wanted, but it's a cable I'm using. I'm using a whole ass guitar cable. Like a long stage cable. Just so I can plug up my Syntact. It's fine, this won't bite me in the ass later. Cool. So, I have... Let's make this more viewer friendly. Oh, duh, I need to change my MIDI track. I'm sorry y'all were just listening to nothing like that. So, let me make this a little viewer friendly. Because I should still be able to patch like this when the time comes. I'm going to turn this whole dang machine upright. Alright. So, take these off. So right now, I have 4 sound sources that I can choose from in the modular. So I have the Dixie, I have the 2 HP bell, I have the BIA, and I have a morphogene. On top of that, I have some really fun effects and all of that. So I have the mimetic for sequencing. I have the marbles and the mimetic kind of doing different sequencing things. I have the mimeophone. I have the Q-pass. So yeah, it's kind of what I'm looking at right now. This looks so much better on camera, and it's fucking or not unusual, but like, this is not the ideal seated setup. If I was standing up, maybe, but it's definitely usable, so I'm gonna use it. Alright. So let's make sure that this is set up for MIDI. MIDI config, yes, sync, clock receive, transport receive, program change receive. You know, plugging in my MIDI out to a MIDI out is not the greatest thing I've done. There we go. We're all moving here. Where'd my sound go? What'd I do? That's what I did. Let's see if we're... Plonk unfortunately did have to go. I just decided I was doing more techno stuff, and all I used Plonk for was bell sounds. So I just got a bell instead. Like, save like 14 HP. No, I think it was more. I think like Plonk is like 20 something. So I saved like 18 HP by just getting a 2 HP one. Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna try something now. If I send something to MIDI channel 1, how bad is this gonna fuck up my life? Yeah. I'm gonna bring this up a little bit. It's a little quiet in my ears. Actually, no. Cool. So I've got some things happening. So that means I've got to make sure that those MIDI channels are off limits, and that means that I can't sequence this from that. But that is fine. I will just use internal sequencing in the modular. And let's attach that. MIDI out. MIDI in. Probably could have thought about how long these MIDI cables were before I started using them. But, you know, we're looking for the most aesthetically pleasing setup. And we're doing great. Let's plug in the modular. Cool. Let's put that in the right input. And... ooh, we're not sending clock. That's not great. Oh, because I don't have clock send checked. How about I hit yes on that? There we go. So let's just... I already have QPatch patched into Mimiaphone, so let's just do a quick clock into here. Which cables do I have where? There's where my short cables are. Okay, so let's take the out. We're gonna do... just gonna have this trigger BIA just for like a test thing. We're just gonna see kind of what happens. Actually, yeah, so. Let's start adding some goofy modulation. Cool. Okay, so everything works. I don't have my vocal chain running in here yet, and this should actually move down to here because that's the actual channel it'll be coming into. Okay, so things connect first. So let's do some. Let's make sure I'm in a new pattern on the Syntact as well. Yeah, let's do not my one that I use for Broke Royals shows. Cool. All right, let's get this tempo up. Kind of stupid. Okay, let's just kind of see how this comes along. We're gonna do... change it back. That was stupid. That's my bad. Let's do function track trigs. That's what it is. No, sorry, it's pattern settings. Let's do per track my patterns. Let's go here. Let's make the master. So let's go to my MIDI 1. We're gonna make the master 128, so I can kind of get longer patterns going. And let's make this half and 64. Cool. So all right. So I've built out a chord. I've kind of got an idea of where I want things to go in my head. Actually, I'm already changing my mind. I want this to be chopped more than I want this. Because I want to do drum chopping. This is good. It's good. Alright, let's do like something weird. So let's do like bam, bam, bam. So I'm just shorting it so I can focus on these ones. So that's 9/11/15. Let's do 9/11/15 here. No, let's not do 9/11. What did I do? Oh, I think I bounced this up one. Nine, 14, 16. So let's do. This might be a cool chord. Let's go down from there. That's a good one. So let's get some drums going. Just switch patterns. I meant to switch tracks. Let's get some of my flex tracks happening. Or sorry, my static tracks. Let's get some loops in here. Let's do that one. use a different percussive pattern because this one doesn't have enough happening. There we go. Let's make this a little snappier. Add some delay and some distortion. Why am I not getting any modular at this point? And then I realized it was because I never turned on my MIDI on this new track. So oopsie. Cool. So now, this is kind of, I mean, obviously everything's super messy right now. I've kind of not figured out how I want to mix things. But, so like right now, this is a really cool thing that I can do. Because I just recorded this. Where are you? Did I take away your trigger again? No, I've turned you down. That's what it was. So I took that, and I've looped it, and now I'm pitch shifting that loop. But let's say I don't want to pitch shift it. Let's say I want to chop it. Or let's say I want to do both, because I can. Let's go to LFO2, do random modulations on that to the trigger. So now it's scrubbing and starting at random places in the buffer. If I actually open the record track, oops, it's recording. Didn't mean to do that. Forgot I was in the mode where it would do that. So let's just take some of this. So now it's scrubbing the buffer, so you can see right now it's actually not scrubbing the buffer. Why isn't it scrubbing the buffer? Give me a second. Oh, duh, because I have them both set to pitch. There we go. Now that's really glitchy. Combine it with that, super weird and glitchy as well. So now I've got this like really great bed of textures, right? So let's just bring in a regular drum beat then. Suddenly everything gets glued. Oh no, don't record with the kick. There's just weird things you get out of it. So now let's bring in some of that modular. Nope. Cool. What I'll do is I'll take this, I'm going to mult this out into the Q pass now, and into the delay. Get this I'm going to get some weird envelopes happening. Through the Q pass. Gonna take a mono. So let me mute this other stuff. Now I've got control over the level. So got a little bit more control. Let's take one more molt, actually. Let's clock our delay as well. Now I have a really interesting texture part 2. All right. Let's clean this up a little bit. Sounds like a dog barking. Not bad as like a start to a setup. I obviously got to now kind of get comfortable with everything and how everything's going to interact with each other. The biggest problem with the Syntec, man, is that it just doesn't have individual outputs. Because I would love to send all of this in, because it's so weird, and this might be all in my head, but man, I feel like everything feels like there's so much less space when I'm mixing within that box and then adding it to a group, you know? It might be in my head, it might just be that I'm bad at mixing, but, you know, it's kind of where I'm at right now. Is, you know, I would love if it had individual outs. I do love how this sounds when you just high pass and distort it. That's so dirty. Let's take a little bit of that dirt off. That's Boards of Canada as fuck. That is Boards of Canada as hell. Just do a little bit less on the attack, or on the envelope rather. I can't play keys well. God, I want a keyboard to practice on. That isn't really tiny or my key step. It's a really good sound, actually. it's just like a good, like, gross texture. Let's throw that into one of these loopers, actually. Since I'm not using looper 1 right now. Let's take it in there. And it's track 8. Okay, cool. Let's do this, and let's get this being stupid. Oh, this is the record button. Oops. Okay, cool. So now I have this to do playback on. Alright, now let's start scrubbing it and fucking with it. Slice on, time stretch, beat. And let's do my favorite thing. First thing, random slicing. And then let's do some random pitches. Alright, let's put in a 4 on the floor behind this. Why? Oh, duh, because I'm in the wrong track. Because as I was talking about earlier. Let's put some weird re-triggers on these too. you doing? Where'd that come from? Oh. Oh, did I turn it down on that? Oops. That explains so much. Okay, I think that's a good start for kind of how I want this setup to work. Maybe I'll change my mind on it in like 45 minutes after I turn off the stream. I'll just walk back in and I'll be like, no, that sucks. Some bullshit. Who knows? Oh goodness, Lavender's out. She usually hides in her little container all day, but we got a big snake out just lying there. I wish I had like 13 cameras that I could just like click to, and you have Lavender Cam where it's just like right up in her face. But alas, I do not. All right, well, thanks for hanging as I kind of stumbled my way through building this out and seeing if this did anything I liked. Oh goodness. Oh my god. All right, I will catch y'all hopefully soon. It's been a minute since I've done streaming consistently. I've been kind of busy, but here's hoping it's more consistent. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.